focus out.
Greetings everybody, today we'll talk about why W220 was a huge disappointment after W140 and why today we see that demand for some models of W220 is actually increasing. In 1992 Mercedes began to design this soap-shaped S-Class. Also from 1992 Mercedes decided to stop over-engineering and spending a lot of cash on their cars. And weirdly, from 1996 to 2001, Mercedes spent more than $2 billion on developing W211 E-Class. And I do not understand the logic behind those actions. But even with that logic, Mercedes managed to create 30 new features and 340 new patents that they used in new W220. 3 wheelbase options were offered, and none of them looked as massive and luxurious as W140. Mr. Dieter Zetchen, head of passenger car department in Mercedes, had these priorities in creating new S-Class. First was the performance with lower fuel consumption, more interior room, also increased safety, and use more lightweight materials, and increase the range of equipment that was comprehensive as possible. First, when people saw the new W220 front was in their concept car F200 in 1995. And people thought that new S-Class will have slightly different front. Even when prototype photos came out in 1998, official car news TV shows admitted that it was not massive and had more discreet look. In other words, car looked much cheaper, more like a Japanese luxury car, not like a proper German car. Soap-shaped body reminded them of every Japanese luxury car, and it was not loved by many. And weirdly, W220 had almost the same sales numbers as W140. W220 had air suspension, adaptive cruise control, voice command, and new rack pinion steering that gave you a feel of artificial lightness when you drove the car. W220 was offered with 23 petrol engines and 4 diesel engines. Wonderful leather seats had not only heating and ventilation, but also could create moisture in their airflow to create microclimate. Now let's talk about all the wrong things that W20 had compared to W140. First, we will start with the steering. Steering felt very artificial, and compared to W140, feel of luxurious aircraft carrier was gone. In W140, every corner was an occasion. When you steer W140, you have a feeling that somebody's cooking lobster for you and preparing very expensive caviar at the back seat. You felt important and very engaged in this luxury drive. With or without air suspension, W220 was not as smooth as W140. Car felt hard and did not respond to road imperfections as good as W140. Suspension was more oriented to fast steering than comfort. Also, W220 had problems with interior. In my experience, I think that the sound isolation was not as good in W140. Even though numbers show that W220 has less wind noise than W140. But when I drove 2 cars, W140 felt much more quieter than W220. I do like that W220 had more space in interior than W140 and it had bigger trunk. But the coziness of W140 was gone. And also the quality of the materials in W220 were a bit worse, especially plastics and wood. When you sit in W140, you feel cocooned in luxury without feeling cramped, and that's the best feeling you ever got. W220 will give you some luxury feel, but if you drove W140, it would never be even close to the magical feel of W140. Technology was impressive in W220, but W140 at the end of its production already had adaptive cruise control. And after 1996, W140 was offered with air suspension as an option at the back wheels to keep cars steady when heavy people got inside of it. Voice command never worked properly and just annoyed drivers. So the big question is, why with all those disadvantages, W220 is getting popular day by day? The reason is that every W220 with V8 and AMG pack looks, sounds and drives amazing. Today, with every new generation of luxurious 4-door German sedan, you have a little bit worse interior, a little bit cheaper materials, and that's why well-kept W220 with good interior feels very special. Smell of W220 and feel of the leather will give you chills. V8 W220 with AMG pack has very good performance. Steering is nice, brakes are good. That new steering rack gave W220 a very light feel. And when you want to drive like Dominic Toretto on a highway, it can deliver on your demands. And it does surprise you with its agility. W220s with V8 engine has much better brakes, acceleration, and sounds amazing. W220 will never beat W140 in luxury department, but W220 destroys W140 in aggressive and insane driving mode. When you drive W140 aggressively, it sounds out of its comfort zone. It doesn't want to do it. You can feel how uncomfortable and out of place W140 behaves when you floor it and take it sideways through the corners. If you want to buy W220 today, I recommend V8 5.5 AMG natural aspirated or with the supercharger. I do not recommend twin turbo V12 or natural aspirated V12, not because of reliability problems, but simply because of maintenance costs. I do not recommend V6, they're just not powerful enough, but some say that the rare 3.7 liter V6 is surprisingly powerful enough to put the smile on your face. Facelift AMG kit is a necessity in any W220 today, because you will enjoy looking at the car. And facelift versions look much better than pre-facelift versions, and it's just my opinion. Only W220 with AMG pack looks fabulous in any color. And that's very rare for S-Class, even today. It was the first AMG S-Class from the factory of Mercedes after when Mercedes bought AMG. And that's why it is so good in AMG trim. If you want good German performance then buy W220 AMG. Such a good car for such a low price. And do remember that it will constantly demand money from you, just like your toxic ex. Let me know in the comments what do you think about W220. And I notice many of you watch my channel without subscribing, and that's very creepy, so please subscribe. Take care and bye bye.